Welcome to the Coffee House, where we discuss board games, miniatures, and painting them, not necessarily in that order.
And today we are talking about 5 games to help get your partner into the hobby.
This list of 5 games was chosen by her. I had very little input. We based this list primarily on her enjoyment factor of these games as well as ease of play.
Yeah, I did not come from playing any kind of board game, so when I met this guy, he introduced me to all of the ones you see behind me. So these were some of the very first games that I started playing that really helped me kind of get to where I am playing the more advanced games.
So hopefully you're going to find some of these games on this list useful for introducing your partner to the hobby as well. Remember, taste varies. Your partner might prefer competitive games or more cooperative games, but just kind of feel out your partner, find out what they want, because more important than the game that you choose is the game that they're interested in. The key factor, I think, in all of this when it comes to getting your partners on board is making sure that they are showing interest and then you leaning towards that interest.
Yeah, I'd agree. And something you'll notice too with these games is we like horror. So we like a lot of horror. Most of these, that's what they are. But we tried to throw some in there that were a little more versatile for other people's interests as well.
Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on in.
All right.
We're going to kick off this list with a tried and true classic. That's right, we're talking about Horrified. Now, anyone that has any experience at all in the board game industry definitely knows about Horrified. There's about 5,000 iterations at this point.
Yeah.
If this is your first time looking at board games or looking at a game like this, real quick, I'll just kind of give a rundown of how the game works. Basically, Horrified is a cooperative pick up and deliver game for 1 to 5 players. It's incredibly modular. You can adjust the difficulty to any point, choosing from 1 to 3 or even higher amount of monsters.
Would not recommend.
Well, depending on your skill level. But the good thing about that is you can ease your way into the difficulty. Basically, what's going to be happening is each monster kind of has their own little puzzle that you need to solve in order to defeat them. Now, primarily, these puzzles are just going to revolve around picking up certain colored items and then depositing them in certain locations. But there's usually a little something more to kind of keep it spicy. So you're going to be running around town, you're going to be picking up these tokens. Villagers are going to spawn that you're going to want to escort to safety, all while trying to dodge these monsters, because if they move into your space, they're going to attack you and fill up this meter, which can and will end the game prematurely in defeat.
Yeah, I think something I really like about these is this one in particular is my favorite. I'm a big fan of cryptids. I know that this version in particular of Horrified does not have the best reputation, but I love it. If you're into cryptids, I think you'll love it too. For people who are not into games, this is a great starter because you can't really mess up.
Correct. And especially if you've never played a cooperative game before, I know sometimes the idea of cooperating and working together in a board game is incredibly foreign to some people, depending on the games that they grew up playing. So this, again, is just a great introduction to a cooperative game in the hobby that is easy to teach, easy to learn, and there's enough different modulation within a single box that you can play it kind of again and again and again, and it still feel fresh for a while. All right, next up on our list is one that I was not expecting when I stumbled across it. This is Council of Four. This is the reprint from Simon Games, so it's got deluxeified components, but it's still the same Euro from way back in the day when it was first released. Basically, what's going to be happening is you are a group of merchants, and basically what you're trying to be doing is you're establishing trade routes kind of throughout this kingdom, but in order to do so, you have to appease the council, and there's different rows of councils spread out across the board, and basically what you have to do is you have to draw and collect a certain set of cards in order to match and appease the council for the region that you were in, and when you were able to do that, you are able to kind of build your empire, and you're going to start dropping off merchants in these locations and creating these chain effects that stack one on top of another on top of another, so that by the time you're getting close to the end of the game, you're going to throw down one of your merchant guys and you're going to trigger 6 or 8 different locations, giving you points and bonuses and boons and all that good stuff.
I really enjoy this one because it's competitive, but it's more of a light competitive. Kind of by chance, kind of not. If you get a good spot that can have that trigger effect, it's great for you. But you might have a plan in your head and someone else places their figure there and your plan doesn't work anymore. So you really just kind of have to go with the flow of it. I try and plan ahead. It doesn't usually work for me. I do not ever win this game. However, I really enjoy this game.
Yeah, there's kind of an interesting push-pull effect that goes on with this council, because you're collecting these sets of cards in order to try to appease the council, but the council can be bought and paid for and changed. So it's entirely possible that you'll start collecting cards for a council so that you can do what you want to do, and then 2 players in a row before your turn bump the council and completely change the arrangement of the council that you are trying to appease. So it's like, but it kind of creates this nice competitive little aspect, because not only that, there's sort of a race factor going on as well. You want to be the first to do a lot of things. That's where you maximize your points. So you really got to be kind of aggressive and play quick on your feet.
This one's fun.
It's bright. It's colorful.
Bright.
It's got minis. It's got a good table
presence.
presence.
Does have minis. Yeah.
Gameplay is super easy to learn, but there's a good amount of depth and strategy there. This is a good game to dip your toes into if you're trying to learn a more Euro style game, which a lot of those can have a really steep learning curve, and I think this is a really good one that you just kind of dip your toes into. And it plays good at 2.
Yeah, it does. And pretty much everything that we are showing plays well at 2. A lot of the time it's just him and I, so we do play a lot by ourselves.
So that's our next pick, Council of 4 from CMON Games. Easy for you to find. It's usually on sale, so go ahead and pick yourself up a copy. All right, our next pick goes back into the spooky territory. We've got Richard Garfield's The Hunger. This is a deck-building race game. This is another competitive one, but again, this is one of those games that if you've never played a deck builder before, this is a great introductory deck-building game. So basically what's going to happen is you're taking on the role of a vampire, and you're going to have a starting deck of cards, and you've got this giant map that you're going to be racing towards this rose garden. Because at this rose garden are these roses that you can grab for extra points that will score you even more points as you race back to the end of the game. Now along the way, before the sun comes up, so it is timed. So that's the other thing that there's a bit of a press your luck, push-pull mechanic. If you are not the speediest vampire in the world, you're not necessarily going to want to race all the way to that garden, and you can absolutely win without racing to that garden, but along the way you're going to be finding treasure, you're going to be picking up secret side objectives and missions, you're going to be getting special abilities and so at the end of your turn, if you have any speed left, if you've conserved any speed, you're going to use that speed and you're going to buy cards from this let's call it a shop. And basically what you're going to be doing with these cards is you're going to be trying to not only increase your speed, but you're going to be scoring points, you're going to be collecting different sets, but you also want to be careful because there are certain cards that are designed, they'll give you an ability or a boon or a boost, but at the same time they're going to clog up your deck by heavily slowing you down. So then you're going to have to strategize certain points on the board that you're going to want to go to digest those humans, matching the symbols on the card and the board, to get them out of your deck so that it's not clogging up your hand, slowing you down even further.
Yeah, I really enjoy this one. I think we found this one on...
This was an Amazon find. This was an Amazon find.
And we knew nothing about it. Broke it out with some friends of ours, and I really enjoy it. This one was a great one for me when I started playing. I like the aspect of the cards. I like being able to build my deck, and the map itself is pretty.
This is a solid one, and again, It's a great introduction to the whole world of deck building. There's a great reference sheet at the back of the rule book for all the symbols. I mean, the game pretty much holds your hand and walks you through how to play it. At the same time, there's more advanced modes that you can play. There's a rookie mode that literally holds your hand, and then there's an advanced mode on the back side. And in addition to that, once you've kind of mastered this game and gone through it and gotten really good at it, there is an expansion you can buy to further, let's say, add some more complexities as you get better.
And I will say, all of the games that we are showing, I think maybe except for the last one, are about an hour.
Yeah, I'd say about an hour.
So they're not super long. They're something that if you're learning or if your partner's just not into this kind of stuff and you're introducing them, the whole point of the video, they're short. So hour long, that'll usually keep your attention span, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And keeps it short.
All right, coming in towards the top of the list is Pandemic: Reign of Cthulhu. This was the very first Pandemic game that I ever played. This game is also one that I introduced gaming with to a lot of people personally myself. So basically...
Me being one.
You being one, yeah. Basically what you're going to be doing in this game is you're going to be choosing one of the 7 investigators in the game, and pretty much you've got the entire Lovecraftian universe on the board. You've got Arkham, you've got Dunwich, you've got Innsmouth. And what's going to be happening is these cultists are going to be sprouting up all over the board. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be moving around the board, removing the cultists, drawing investigation cards. Sometimes you're going to find relic cards, which give you special abilities. And what you're doing is, once again, you're looking for matching sets, because what you want to do is you want to take a certain number of the same type of card to go and close one of the 4 gates across the board in each city. And in order to win the game, you have to close all 4 of these gates. However, there are certain cards that are spread out through these decks that will allow you, well, not allow you, that will force you to start awakening the old ones. So it's kind of like a chain reaction that will happen. You're going to spawn more cultists, and you're going to spawn these old ones, and they're going to create these sometimes
chaos.
Well, it's always chaos, but sometimes the effects are going to be permanent. Sometimes it's going to be a one-time thing. They're going to be moving Shoggoths are going to be moving towards gates, which will awaken old ones. There's all these different ways for these old ones to awaken, and if Cthulhu awakens, you lose the game. And as these cultists spawn, if you don't start calling these cultists, if you need to spawn a cultist and you don't have any left in the reserve, you lose the game. And as you're collecting these investigation clues, if you run out of these cards, you lose the game. I mean, if all of you become insane, you lose the game. There's so many different ways for you to lose the game, and only one way to win. That if your teamwork is not completely on point, up to par, you're likely going to lose very, very quickly. So it's another one of those games that the emphasis is on co-op, and it really, really teaches you to work together.
Testing friendships and relationships.
Yes. Yes.
I like this one. I think that it's getting up there where it's a little more complicated, but not too much. Still nice and short. What, about 45 minutes?
I would say usually 30 to 45 minutes. You're
depending on how fast you die.
Yeah. You're likely going to win or lose within 45 minutes.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's one of those that is more complex, but I caught on pretty quickly, considering I had no board game experience. This was also one of the first few that you introduced me to. And I think when you got this one out, I was a little bit terrified, mostly because I didn't want to look dumb trying to figure out how to play this board game. And I know that's how a lot of people can feel when you're starting to play games like this that your partner's already into, or your friends are already into it, and you want to play, but you don't want to feel silly in front of others. This one didn't make me feel that way.
And the game, fortunately, does come with a nice, detailed, handy, double-sided reference card for each player that will walk you through your entire turn and each round of the game. And I will say, too, most of the games, if not all of the games on this list, do come with some sort of game reference, turn reference, something that's easy to access any second of any turn, so that you're not left fumbling through the rulebook trying to figure out what it is you're supposed to be doing. This is a really intense game. It's, like I said, it's easy to play. It's easy to grasp. It looks a little intimidating at first, and sometimes you're like, okay, well, does this trigger this, and then that triggers that. But if you just follow it step by step and stick with it, this is a great, great introductory game to modern gaming.
And I will say, you know, my best friend and her husband actually came over and we played this game with them, and I'm pretty sure she ordered it the very same night off of Amazon.
Yes.
And she's not a board gamer in any sense, only when she's here, really. And they loved it so much they bought it same night.
And
so
this was also the very first kind of modern board game that my best friend ever played, and it completely turned him on to the world of board gaming. So cannot recommend this one enough. This is a solid choice to get anyone into the hobby. All right, our final selection for this list is going to be a little controversial. There's probably going to be some moans and groans. Over the years, this game went from being completely beloved among the community to it's kind of popular to kind of hate on it now and trash on it now. And that is...
Really?
Blood Rage. Oh yeah, it's a thing.
So this game was my favorite. The second that we played this, I think I wanted to play it over and over again.
We did, in fact, play it multiple times. We actually at one point went up to Georgia and got a cabin with some friends, and I think, you know, for the 4 days or whatever that we were up there, I think we probably played this about 9 times. Now, for those of you who don't know, Blood Rage is kind of a worker placement area control game set, you know, in the Viking Age, and it's played over 3 rounds, and there's a couple different phases each round. First and foremost, you're going to be drafting cards, and these cards are going to contain, there's going to be battle cards, and there's going to be quests, and there's going to be clan upgrades, and there's going to be ship upgrades, and there's going to be warrior and chieftain upgrades, and so you're gonna get a handful of cards. You're gonna pick one and pass, and then you're gonna pick one and pass, and pick one and pass until you have a hand of cards, and then you're gonna begin the action phase. And all of your actions are played out using rage, which is kind of the currency of the game. If you want to place out warriors onto the designated spaces, you got to pay rage. If you want to slot in your upgrades, you got to play rage. If you want to pillage one of the villages, you're going to pay rage, and then you're going to initiate battle. And battle is kind of like this blind bluff deal where you're each secretly going to pick one of those cards that you've drafted, and you're going to reveal them, and you're going to tally up, and highest number basically wins. But there's all kinds of effects on the cards as well that can really hamper who does what and when. One player might get a card that wipes out a figure or two, and then you count the strength of the area. Another card will completely nullify all the cards, and all that matters are the figures in the area. There's all kinds of different ways, and you're going to die, and you're going to get sent to Valhalla, and Ragnarok is going to trigger, and it's going to wipe out sections of the board, and there's just a lot of kind of back and forth, battling, pillaging, managing your resources, upgrading your resources over these 3 rounds, and at the end of the game, highest points wins.
I think this has everything. It has monsters, it has Vikings, it has upgrades, which are always fun. I love getting upgrades for things because it makes me feel like I'm doing something. But it's great for someone like me, or really anybody else who's watching this and wants to get into it. This is great.
It's a really solid area control introductory. That's it's a step above Risk in kind of what you're used to, but it's not quite as complex as some of the other ones that are on the market these days. And again, this is another one of those games that at any given time you can just glance at the board and know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. There's kind of a round tracker that very specifically you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this, and then you have your player boards that you're looking at down at the bottom of the player board. You've got sections that says you can do this, 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 or this, and it costs this much to do any of these things. So the game really does kind of make it as simple as just kind of pick up and play as possible.
It
which
really
is always
lays
helpful.
it out for you.
And I'm not going to say that it's a perfect game, but I will say that in terms of starting out, it's about as good as you can get for an area control game.
This has a special place in my heart because this was the one that I bonded with when we started. I know that sounds kind of silly, but I played the others and I had fun and it was fine. When we played this, I also kind of fell in love with playing board games. This was the one that really helped me feel confident in going to one of the harder games.
So yeah, that's Blood Rage. That is her #1 pick for a game to introduce somebody to the hobby, particularly your partner. All right, guys, that is going to do it for our video this week. Thank you so much for watching.
Like and subscribe,
All
as
that
always.
good stuff. We hope that you enjoyed our picks. Let us know, have you played any of our picks? How do you feel about our picks? Who is someone in your life that you are trying to get into the hobby? What would you say to anyone watching? What advice would you give them about introducing games to their partner in the hobby?
Never feel like you're asking a dumb question. Never feel silly, because I promise nobody is looking at you and thinking that, wow, you have no idea how to play this game, because you don't. And you should never feel intimidated. These are meant to be fun. They're meant to be enjoyed with the people that you love, and you just have to make the best of it. And if you don't understand something, ask. There's never a dumb question, I don't think. And I've asked some really silly questions here, but
no silly questions.
You've never made me feel any type of way, and I think that's the most important thing.
So thank you so much for watching, guys. We sincerely appreciate it. As she said, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you on the next video.
Bye, guys.
Bye.